Hello, my friends. I love this shot. It's really what I wanted. This is Brently. I am in my bed, and every morning I get up and I want to talk to all of y'all. I can't explain how confusing everything is online and how what's happened with my eyes and my body. And basically, I have a virus. It's called Lyme disease. It's the only thing we've identified, but my body is acting like it has a severe virus, and then I have an autoimmune deficiency, and that is determined by the doctors I've seen. I've seen dozens of doctors. I've been to Southside Medical Clinic. They stopped treating me. My case is too complicated for the Southside Medical Clinic. The Health Partners Clinic in West St. Paul is also refusing to treat me. They found things that other clinics haven't, and they are not providing any treatment, and that's what I've been talking about online. I'm trying to share with my friends individually. I really took the path of trying to talk to one person at a time as opposed to all these folks that I met over a vast career of traveling and performing. And most of my performances that you've seen have been for free. When I was in my 20s, I was making between $30,000 and $40,000 a year on just my artwork. As soon as I went in for an eye condition, they treated me for psychiatry and psychology. I always stumble in those words. I apologize. But what I'm trying to communicate is that I've been trying to get help with physical health, and all I get is mental health. Those drugs have caused illusory palinopsia, which is a condition that it's like my eyes are taking pictures, and when I look away, the picture's still there. Like if I look away from the computer, I still see an image of the computer. So I look back, and then the image of the computer is over here in the corner of my eye, and here, and everything is floating and has like an aura to it. And the wild thing about this is that I don't mind, but now my eyes are no longer able to see what I could see just a couple years ago. Um, I had eagle vision? Eagle eyes, that's the term. Eagle eyes. I could see something, just pinpoint it. I mean, when I was a carpenter and I was working at Acadia Repertory Theater, I could see the tiniest little itty bitty spot to go and get my screw in with my drill. And I learned that I have a very advanced visual memory that I've learned over the years how to use it. And it sounds like what I've heard about the fifth dimension, that you can just think of something, it's there, and you can manipulate it and turn it around, take it apart, put it back together, and it's there, but it's not physical. It's my imagination. And so I've been treated with psychiatry for things that are physical. Um, I was traveling between 2011, around 2011, I lost my home. I tried to hold on to it. It was about a year of struggle with that. And then I got offered a job out east at Acadia Repertory Theater on Mount Desert Island, the oldest repertory theater in the country, as a technical director. I've studied and trained my whole life as an actor, and I've done tech on the side to pay the bills, because tech pays. Acting will pay on the top levels really, really well. But everyone knows that, really, do you know that all of your entertainment, all the movies, all the music, everything you like to watch is supported by restaurant workers mostly? Service industry people are working for free to provide you entertainment, and then working these jobs for tips, and most of those jobs don't pay minimum wage because they're tip jobs. In America, if you get a job and you receive tips, it's not extra, that's income. In other places, they look at it differently. And as a performer, tips are like amazing, but if you don't do extraneous accounting, etc., etc., etc. There's no future for you working in the arts if this attitude is constant of let's just pay people almost nothing because they're doing the arts, and therefore we're giving them a gift by giving them an opportunity to display their art, etc., etc., etc. So that was a side tangent, but I went to Acadia Repertory Theater, and I never came home, really. It took me a long time until I went to the Hamptons in Northampton. Very fancy, privileged clinic. Everybody there was like... they just seemed, even the people that, like, here and other places I've been, when you hung out with people that seemed poor, you didn't go back to their house later and their parents were filthy rich. And there's something about that area that's just like, there's so much bounty out there. And there's all these abandoned places, mills and factories and houses and the rolling hills in the east. And I was there, and I went to a clinic. A very enlightened friend of mine suggested I search for integrated healthcare, kind of alternative healthcare where they use Western and Eastern or plant medicine. You know, they use other options. Alternative medicine with Western medicine, which both these terms. Let's look at them. What does that mean? Medicine's medicine? I want to know what this thing is. So, again, I'm a tangent-based thinker, and I'm trying to illustrate to you that when I was there, they found first pneumonia, and then mononucleosis, and then they found Lyme disease, babesia, and a whole series of co-infections. They found heavy metal poisoning, lead, mercury, I think a couple others. I'm trying to remember the test results. But they found a lot of things that I was walking around with when I was working. Nothing was contagious. The mono was, but when they found the Lyme, they pulled back all of the treatments, and they just gave me a very aggressive treatment for Lyme, and they gave me all this information about how to support my system, how to do it long term, how many things I need to do, how many rounds of antibiotics I should do, and then what I should do afterwards, and I followed that, and I happened to have met and had the opportunity to date a wonderful person who ran the health and wellness department at the biggest co-op in the Hamptons. And she said, what do you need? When I told her I needed all this alternative stuff, like all the words, like it's so complicated keeping track of all these things in my head, because I'm not a word-based person. Everything I think and do is a picture. If I want to see a word and know how to spell it, I see it as a whole thing, like as if it was sculpted or built. And now I've returned to Minnesota after learning all this stuff out east, getting all these herbs from my friends. I lived next to an amazing herbal specialist that had her own farm, and I lived in eco villages and dance communities, theater communities. Everywhere I went, I kept getting sick and sick, and it was the kind of sick that is hard to describe. It's like it's just always dragging on you, and you push through, and you do all the things. This is my bucket of things that I use, all the herbs. I take them, I know them, I'm not being able to keep track of all of them, and that's the problem, is that when you deal with a virus like COVID or anything, there's all these interrelating things that happen in the body and the system. All of our psychology and all of our, all the things we need for our brains comes from our intestines, where all these chemicals that these like selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors that are keeping the serotonin from being absorbed into the brain, those chemicals are made in the guts. That's why I've been trying to find food medicine, plant medicine, and manage it. And I have some beautiful friends. My friend Crystal, so many people have saved me and gifted me with beautiful things. Just a little thing. And there's something about plant medicine that feels good. It feels nourishing. I feel something happening when I take a ginger shot or a ginger turmeric shot. When I was living at Paleaina in Hawaii, we'd get up in the morning with turmeric shots, and we'd like take fresh turmeric that we farmed and all these great herbs and everything you could imagine, and it would tasted like, it was like, so when you go for shots and how that goes that in your body and you hate it, it tastes like that, but then you just go boom, 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 and you're like, ah, I'm in Hawaii. And so all these pills I'm taking are making me sicker, and I can't find a single physician who will take the time and patience to look at my entire case. I have specialists all over. I schedule them. They're months away. I miss a lot of those appointments. I've had to reschedule a lot of them because, like now, I'm in bed. I'm having trouble just doing anything. Like, you can't really see it, but this is what my hands are doing. That's just me trying to relax my hand. So do that and try and use a touch screen. Okay? I'm going to relax my arm now. And then the spasms happen. And you can't see it in this video. You can't understand it. But if you want to know what it feels like, you don't want to know. And I have incredible stabbing pains all over my body. My right and left leg are alternatingly going numb. I have a hard time controlling my jaw and my tongue. I'm very, very focused right now. I've disciplined myself to do one thing at a time. I spend most of my time praying and meditating. I used to draw a lot, but I can no longer draw because of the combination of the symptoms. I say cannot, meaning it's better if I don't try and do something and I focus on the things like trying to eat, trying to take care of myself, make appointments, talk to people, reach out, etc., etc. So there's been this horrible experience I've had coming back to Facebook. I love so many of you. I'm trying to remember who you are. Facebook doesn't look like what you think it looks like. I mean, I don't know what it looks like to you, but it doesn't. It's not a place. It's not a safe or healing place. It's a place of distraction and constantly pulling focus away from what you want to do, which is communicate with your friends. So I finally have an iPhone from 2016. Look, it's a black slab. Slippery as a bar of soap. Why is this the only shape? Why are we stuck in the first dimension? Why don't we want texture in our worlds? But I have a phone now. I have a phone number. I have a phone I can use because this is the only iPhone I've been able to use. For years, I've had 3, and I'm still paying for them because I can't even see these websites to go online and do my finances and try and get a bank account again and an ID. I don't have an ID. And this is true. I don't even have clothing or a place to put away my clothing. And that kind of stuff should have been taken care of by Affinity Residential Care, who's paid to help me come back into the world. I was isolated since July of 2019. When COVID hit, my job was teaching English to Chinese kids in China online. And I logged in in January of 2020, and the classrooms were empty. It was gone. My WeChat, everything was silent. I had no idea what was going on. It wasn't until a week later that my mom called me and said, "Do you know what's going on in China? There's this horrible virus, and the streets are empty. On New Year's, the Chinese New Year, no one's even out in the streets." And I was that isolated. What it was in my mind was I was going on a retreat. I rented a classroom in a high school that was no longer used and was basically abandoned to set up a classroom to teach. I was going to teach classes, and I was going to have online things and shoot videos, and I set up a sound studio and a painting studio and a sculpting area, but my body kept breaking down. I stopped being able to do things like open a jar, open a bottle of medicine, like these things. I can't do that. And like this stuff is torture for me. So I want to find out what is going on with me. I want to find out what remedies we can have. But when I was cut off from the world and I couldn't use a phone, and I kept getting people sending me phones, and I kept buying phones, and I kept telling everyone, I just need a landline, just give me a button phone, just give me a dial phone, I don't care, I need something physical, please, I can't get in touch with people. They wouldn't fix my doorbell. And so I've been cut off by very extreme things that are not my fault. I made some foolish decisions, true, and I was making desperate decisions, true. But as soon as I lost my home in July of 2019, everywhere I went, I was suddenly different. I walk into a store, and people can smell and see it on you, that you aren't living in a house. If anyone can imagine the truth that if you or anyone just leave your house with nothing but your shoes and minimal clothes and nothing else, no money, which is really easy to happen. I mean, everybody's got plastic, and all you have to do is have a card that doesn't work. A scratch. And suddenly you have nowhere to get a glass of water. There's no public water anymore, especially after COVID. And there are no bathrooms. You can ninja it, and I've done it. I have learned how to always be able to use the restroom when I need to while traveling, but now physically can't do it. It's just I can't. It's not can't. It's to the degree of which it's wiser to not do it. So anyone who has illnesses, disabilities, injuries knows, yeah, I can push myself through, but there's a level of healing and rest. And when you're constantly pushing yourself, you're tearing yourself down. It's what humans are built for. I don't give up. I choose to do this video instead of get up and shower and eat. I choose to communicate because I care more about you than I do about me. I left my friends, my family, my career because I felt like I was hurting people in my life. And I want this to stop. I want people to stop suggesting and making advice, especially on a public forum like Facebook, or just if I haven't talked to you in a long time, if I want advice, I will ask for it. I'll say, does anyone know a Lyme disease specialist in the Twin Cities? Can you refer me to an actual doctor? Can you give me a name, a phone number, and can you vet this person? Can you find the information about, has this doctor actually helped anyone? How do you find that out? I mean, that would be really valuable if you go to a doctor's office and you could see, oh, this person has treated this many people with the flu and it was confirmed, this many recovered, oh, this one died. Okay, well, that happens. You know, I would feel really more secure with the doctor that told me I've had 5 patients die. But you don't hear that. But it's their job, man. I mean, a doctor's doing things to help you, but they're protected in a way that's really strange to me, that you can go somewhere over and over again and have the same exact symptoms and not be showing any improvement for years, and you go to all these clinics. Everyone has different records. Everyone looks at them differently and has a different opinion about your diagnosis. The test results come out different. You go to one clinic, it's this way. You go to another clinic, it's that way. That's my experience. I've had 5 colonoscopies. I've had so many scans and x-rays and things that I'm taking so many pills that no one has addressed the fact that any of this could be harming me. And it is not helping me. I have to take medicines that don't do what they're supposed to do. But if I stop taking them, I have to deal with severe, life-threatening withdrawal. Antipsychotic medicines, antidepressants, create reliance on you. They will make you reliant on them. That's what I meant. They make you reliant. If you stop taking them, your life is in danger. It's really strange that people have identified the suicidal thought happening with coming off of antidepressants. And I really think I know why that happens. And I think I know what's going on in my head when I stop taking them. I start to have seizures. And it starts like a little electric shock in your brain. It spreads to the rest of your brain. It feels like that. And it gets harder and harder and sharper and sharper. At first it's just sort of like, what was that? Like you got a kink in your neck or something. It's like a little shock. But after experiencing this for about 27 years, ever since I first started taking Paxil, which has a short half-life, and that's one of the causes, is a short half-life of the medicine. Exits your system fast. And I've never ever had an antidepressant help the depression I feel. I mean, depression is supposed to be, all they're trying to do is make you feel happier. But depression is the collision of multiple emotions. Do the research, read it, talk to people. It's about having fear, anger, shame, and joy collide in your heart at the same time, collide in your mind. Oh, by the way, the heart does have the same receptors as the brain and does think. Welcome to the future. So, all you digits out there that think that this digital world is working, all you designers that think you're headed in the right direction, we're going towards the cliff right now. All of these devices, not one single one of these is built for human hands, for the world we live in. Not one single thing we're building nowadays actually recognizes the fact that everything on Earth must be able to handle two things: water and earth, dirt, and wind and all that other stuff, and sunlight too. So let's turn our focus into building things that fit the human hand, fit the human body, fit the human experience. And all these waves and everything, we all know we don't need that much. There's just too much crap on these freaking things. Like, I want to take all of this off, all of it. Its personality, its behavior, so I can just use a phone. But that's why I'm harping on this with my friends and everybody else, is that we have to understand, if it can happen to me, it can happen to everybody. Doesn't matter how rich you are. All you need is a drop of water or a speck in your eye, and you can't use your phone. You can't see these things. And if you, like me, where you have a severe infection in the center of your head that will not get addressed by a single doctor, every time you use one of these things, it hurts. It's like a little needle going on in my head. So I've gotten angry. I've gotten upset. I've blown up. And I'm glad I did, but it was not a good idea, because everybody around me is like, oh, you should go to the hospital. You should go to the hospital. I'm worried about your mental health. I'm really worried about your mental health. I'm really worried about your mental health. I got it. I am too, but it doesn't work like that. If you want to deal with your mental health, you have to look way down the road. You're not going to change your brain by taking a pill overnight, or getting a therapy, or talking to someone. It's going to take a long time. And if someone's panicking, if they're scared for their health, the last thing you want to do is give them an antipsychotic medicine, to give them an antidepressant, to give them an anxiety medicine. And why? because they'll have to go through withdrawal at some point from that. And that's the part that has no medical treatment that I've ever heard of, that has no one addresses. If I go to the hospital, they give it to me automatically. I know because I've seen my records. They keep telling me they're giving me pain medicine, something to help me sleep, and I look up the medicine as an antipsychotic. It doesn't address pain. I'm taking pain medicine. Okay? There's a reason for the pain. There's a reason for the disability. There's a reason for my eye condition. And that's what I'm begging for. So call Health Partners. Tell them Brent M. Davis deserves to see a doctor immediately. Please. It's all at Health Partners. I'm in West St. Paul Clinic on Wabasha. If you care about me and you want me to see a doctor, I do want to go to the hospital, but every time I've gone, they want to address my emotions, and I'm panicking because I keep getting treated like I'm crazy. There's too many symptoms. I start talking about it, and their eyes glaze over. I know I've seen it over and over again. I was just on a video call, the Health Partners, I'm begging them for an appointment to see a real doctor. I haven't seen an actual MD. I've only seen wannabe doctors. It's because of the health crisis. It's because of the staffing. But if we just stopped with all this bullshit of the online portals and all these things that are supposed to save us, and understand that if they just put that energy and money into staffing, scheduling, education, DIY medicine, teaching people how to take care of themselves, teaching people massage. I mean, if doctors just had classes in consentful touch and healing touch, it does exist. If you don't believe me, just have someone put their hand on your back for a little while. It feels great. Just put your hand on the center of someone's back, especially a child who's upset, right on the heart on the opposite side. On the tummy if they'll let you. On the heart on the front if they'll let you. Or if it's okay with them. But don't act like Spock. Don't do that hippy dippy shit. But I'm gonna heal you. Just touch them. My girlfriend who had no massage training would make my knee just completely feel better by just barely touching it. And then I met all these Reiki people, and I'm like, you know what? If you just cut the bullshit and you just feel it, it's the same fucking thing. The problem is we have all these waves going everywhere. It's bouncing around. Of course, it's affecting us. They are physical, by the way. These waves are actually physical. They have a physical entity. There's something about them that actually affects physical space. So if you send out a big, huge wave of water at people's heads, it will affect them, right? All waves do that. So let's start building things that work. Let's go back to analog systems. Let's reinvest in analog systems. Let's reinvest in physical systems. Let's find dials and switches and buttons you can feel. Because if I can go blind, you can go blind, everyone can go deaf, all it takes is one little tiny thing and you are disabled. That means you can't do something the same way you used to. It doesn't mean you can't do it at all. I have friends that are paraplegic. They need a wheelchair. They can get around without the wheelchair. Should we expect them to? We used to. A lot. That was the only thing. If your legs didn't work, you dragged yourself everywhere. Wake up. The solutions are not online. Amazon is a trap. I've lost all of my funding that went to help me, went to Walmart and Amazon. And I'm still sitting here without clothes that fit, without anything being able to function. Everything I bought on Amazon is future garbage. Okay? It's all future garbage. Everything at Walmart is future garbage. Just look at it that way. Just look at what way people would treat it if one little tiny thing goes wrong. Every electronic you have, it's like one little tiny, done. One little bit of water, one little speck of dust, one little crack, done. And if we started building things kind of like on Star Wars, where they're really built well and they'll last, and you can like take them apart and put them back together because it makes sense with fingers mostly, not just tools. Tools are great. But when I was a carpenter, my fingernails were so strong I could screw and unscrew a screw with my fingernail. We have texture in our fingers for a reason. There should be texture on these for the same reason. Whales, feathers, all these animal skins, turtles, they're designed to channel things away. These are my ideas. I've built them. I've built my own cell phones in my mind palace with current technologies. I can make a 3D screen in my head, and I know it works in physical world because I built all the pieces separately. I can build a 3-dimensional screen, bas relief, where it comes out like a face would come out from the screen. I can do it. You can do it too. But if you keep up with the proprietary shit, if we keep trying to own things as if, I don't know how to describe ownership, but what we need to do is protect things. Like if Disney was like, we are in the business of nurturing and protecting this creative energy started by Walt Disney. We're into giving everyone the opportunity to become a Walt Disney. We're into allowing the public to play with Mickey Mouse by now. You know, like everybody can make their own Mickey Mouse. You can sell Mickey Mouse things, he's American, go ahead. Their revenue would just go, pfft. They don't need to keep it. You don't need to own Star Wars. You can let everybody play Star Wars. And then guess what? People would go to you to buy all the stuff and learn how to do all the tricks. And, you know, it's the fact that ownership is important for protection. Ownership is important for making sure that the thing that has value is nourished and protected. That's what the Republicans think. As you know, if we own every river, we can control and protect and help it. But the owning part is just, it's in our minds. It doesn't really, it's not a thing. Just like mental health is not a thing. And now 32 minutes, 20 seconds, right? I just said that mental health thing. The only reason I say that is, it is a thing. You're right. It's a thing. But it's a thing that's a concept, and it's not a physical, like there are physical elements of like depression, schizophrenia, and all this. I've seen the research, but if you go to the doctor, they don't look at your brain that way. They listen to your symptoms, and it's a category. I have this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, and then, oh, you're schizoaffective. You know, all schizoaffective means is that you have some sort of auditory or visual hallucination, in my part, and then you have depression. And so my thing that they thought was hallucination is actually called illusory palinopsia. I see auras, I see trails. It's happened every day since July 24th, 2000. And I went into the doctor for an eye condition. I don't think that diagnosis existed or that description. I've never heard of it. I found it. But it describes what I have. And no, it's not from acid or drugs or mushrooms or anything like that. It's very, very different. It's from Paxil. So there I said it out loud. This is going on Facebook and YouTube and all that. And I know I'm rambling. But again, recognize the fact that I'm not sleeping well. I'm never comfortable anymore. All my health conditions, all my abilities to do anything are extremely challenged. And I am so focused and so disciplined that I locked myself away trying to find a doctor who could actually help me, opposed to just going to the doctors and have them constantly prescribing histamines and more psych drugs and more, like ibuprofen kind of stuff, Tylenol kind of stuff, just dumping it in my body, all these things, an occasional round of antibiotics, and then I get better a little bit, and then I go boom. And that's what happened. After I went off the antibiotics, I went to the doctor. They refused to continue treatment. They told me to go see an infectious disease specialist. I called it an infectious disease specialist. over and over and over and over and over again. No, we're not taking patients. No, we're not taking patients. No, we're not taking patients. And now I have an appointment next month. And now I'm thinking, whoa, I get there. Are they going to help me? Because I've gone to these people before. I get there. I'm excited. I want to learn about myself. I want to get better. And they go, all your symptoms don't matter. You're fine. Fuck you, sirens. That's the other thing. They don't need to be that loud, folks. All they need to be is loud enough for traffic and people who are around the vehicle. You don't need to hear it from miles. It's not necessary. We're pushing things. Americans, if you leave the country and you come back, you'll see how big and round and how much space we take up. And before COVID, we couldn't touch each other. You couldn't bump into somebody in public. Now it's like 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet. Well, the country's got to get bigger for that to work. There's better options than we came up with COVID. Those, please. There's so many options out there. I'm a mask maker, a professional mask maker. I built my own COVID masks. They fell apart and I lost them because my hands don't work anymore. I can't make more, but I have the designs to make your own at home, as good as anything you buy in the store, COVID mask. I've even built them out of a single piece of fabric designed off of an emergency mask that I learned how to build in survival school. So there's ways of just taking a bandana, it's the best one, and making it very, very useful for that, but more breathable. It's a problem with bandana, you can't really breathe through it very well. And that's also the problem with the masks. The right side of the side that I heard a lot of people saying is, you can't breathe with these masks on a lot of times, and that's very true. And that's why they need to have some sort of assisted circulation that is not electric. There's all kinds of ways if you breathe out. Just look at animals. Not going to go into this. This is too long. Gosh, I always do this. I apologize in advance for everything I'm about to do and everything I've done before, all that stuff. I'm Brently MD, watch Mastermind. It never got finished. I'm just posting all the versions up there on YouTube. I just want people to see the work. It's the only example I have of my masks. I don't like the movie because of my experience making the movie, but it is the only example of my work. And quite honestly, the masks in that movie, I just pulled them out of a box. They're very old. They look pretty good, but it's nothing like what I could do still. If I can get help, if I can get help, if I can get help with my health. There it is. So I am talking well this morning, but I really want to stop the dizziness and the shaking as soon as possible. Address the pain, and please find out what's going on with me, because I have too many symptoms, and I know. But that is what they said to AIDS patients. And I know a lot of other people who are going through this. Like everyone I talk to has just fuck all stories, man. I feel like it's gone 2 years, and I'm 30 years older. I don't know how to navigate in the world anymore. All the parts of my personality that I worked on so hard, and myself so hard, and worked my whole life to manage, are just, I have to find another way. I have to find a way of not getting upset when someone turns me down for the billionth time, just trying to help me get my ears cleaned out so that I can stop being dizzy. All these things. I know there's so many things, so much advice, but what I want is people to call health partners, because I can't switch clinics again. Every time you do, it's restart. And they have enough doctors, and it's right next to my house. It's right at the bottom of the hill. So please advocate for me and everyone else. All we need to do is stop being so proprietary about everything and realize that if we do that,
people are going to give us even more money. Businesses, if you build your packaging to be really high quality, like an Altoids can, so that people want to keep it, you've got your advertising for life. But if you just make it like on your bag and your plastic thing that people are going to throw in the dirt, that's what I think of McDonald's. I don't think of McDonald's, the big nice sign. I think of all the garbage I've seen. That's all it is to me, because that's how they demonstrate. Coke cans in the street, that's what I think of when I think of Coca-Cola. I just think of Pepsi. I think of all the garbage, because that's what's left after you pour out the product. So listen to the wisdom of your ancestors. They made really good things that would last forever. They made them so that we all could take them apart and put them back together. And if you want to make more money, listen to what no one else is doing. And it's just sitting right in front of you. If you want health care, you've got to protest. You've got to call people. You've got to talk about it. You've got to be reasoned. And you've got to understand that most of the things that would help us in COVID are plant-based medicines, behavior modifications that involve things like dancing, holding, hugging, breathing exercises. We had a respiratory illness, and I didn't see one thing on NPR or anything else. It might have been out there about how to breathe. There are exercises they teach kids with asthma. When I was a kid, if you had something like asthma, they taught you skills, and your inhaler wasn't the main thing. So 42 minutes, it's a good number. Brently MD, Mastermind, Innovative Artistries. I've worked a long time. I still have a lot left. I have novels, plays, operas, music, sculpture, masks, everything you can possibly imagine.